Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I have randomly decided today that I am feeling like filming a 24-hour readathon, so that's exactly what we're doing. I haven't filmed one in a couple of months and they are honestly my favorite types of videos to film, not only because I get through so many books, but I just feel like it makes me dedicate more time aside to reading, and that's what I love about it the most. I am actually already in the middle of a book for this video, which is First Time Caller by B.K. Borison. I started this last night as the audiobook, so I figured that when I start the stopwatch today or the timer, this will be the book that I finish first because I'm about halfway through. I'm going to try to explain the synopsis of this very quickly. It's pretty much about this radio station that is hosted by a guy. His name is Aidan Valentine and it's kind of like a romance radio station. So he gets people calling into the station asking for like romance advice, dating advice and everything like that, and most people just ask really stupid questions. But then one day this little girl calls him. She's 12 years old and she's actually calling for her mum, which is Lucy, and Lucy ends up talking to Aidan on this radio station line and it ends up going viral online, and so they make up this deal where she ends up going back on the radio station with him, and the whole plan is that because everyone loved her that was listening to the radio station, everyone wants her to find a date, everyone wants her to find the perfect man, and that's the whole point of this book. I hope that made sense. This is so cute. As I said, I was listening to the audiobook and I could feel the chemistry between these two main characters straight away. Like the way there was so much tension between them. There was just like little things that they would like say to each other, little things that they would do to each other, the little touches and stuff. Like it was just making me really giddy straight away. I'm loving them so much. Obviously it's a romance book, so we all know where it's going to go. We know she's going to end up with the radio host herself, but I'm really enjoying seeing her experiences with talking to other people on the radio line that are trying to get with her and her going on dates and stuff like that. It's just really entertaining because none of it ever really goes right. I didn't even say how I do my 24-hour readathons is actually just stop and start the timer for up to like a week. Sometimes it takes me to film. It usually takes me like 4 or 5 days to get through the 24 hours, and I pretty much just read whenever I have the time to, whenever I get the chance to, and I stop the timer whenever I'm not reading. So it's not like staying up for 24 hours straight or anything like that. I would be delusional if I did that. It is more just seeing how much I can realistically read within a 24-hour time frame, if that makes sense. I am just going to be mood reading this week, so I'm just going to pick up books that I feel like reading in the moment. I don't really have a set TBR at the top of my head right now. But yeah, that's all I have to say for now. I'm going to start the 24-hour timer and start by finishing this book, and then we'll see what I end up reading next. I'm kind of in the mood for like a thriller, but we'll see. I feel so bad for this girl because she is really going through it with like these horrible dates. She had a guy that was literally like yelling at her the whole date, proving that like love isn't really real, like just going against everything she was saying on the radio station. And now she's got like a no-show date. Like I really feel for her because she just wants love and isn't really getting it at the moment. Okay guys, it is much later and I have just finished reading First Time Caller by B.K. Borison. To start off, I have 20 hours and 57 minutes still on the timer, so it took me just over another 3 hours to finish. But that being said, I mainly listened to the audiobook as well, so it was definitely a lot slower than my usual reading pace. But I loved this so much. I think it was so cute. As I said in the last update, I think the relationship was so believable. They just had so much chemistry, and I hate going into like a romance book and I just feel like there's no chemistry between the characters. It doesn't feel real. It doesn't feel like they actually love each other. But with these two characters, I definitely felt like that. Of course, with every romance book, there has to be like an issue towards the end of the book, and it's usually miscommunication, which I don't like. I hate when miscommunication is just thrown into a book, so I didn't really like that. That definitely changed my opinion a little bit towards the end, but I still did really love this. I think the idea and the premise of this was really cool as well, like the fact they were on like a radio station or whatever. It was called Heartstrings, Baltimore's romance hotline. So as I said, like I really loved that. I think that was so cool, and the fact that we got like excerpts of that as well. I feel like listening to the audiobook made that even better because it was like I was actually listening to it. I will say, I don't know if this is going to be part of a series, but I really hope it is, because Jackson, who is Aiden's like friend at this radio station, he has like this like little bickering thing going on with another woman from another radio station, and I feel like that's a hint for like another book that could be in this series, and I would eat that up because like the tension between those two, like it was already brewing in this book, so I can imagine them in their own book. So I'm like crossing my fingers that we get another book in this series. I will also say I am not the type of person that likes spice in books. I've said that a lot. Like it doesn't change my opinion of books. I usually just like skim read it, and I don't know, I don't really see a point of it that much unless it's like actually deepening like an emotional connection or something. But the spice in this book was actually written quite well. There was quite a lot of it towards the end, but sometimes like spice is still written in a good way. Like sometimes it's not written in a cringy way that makes me like, what am I reading? And this was one of those books that felt like that, so I did enjoy that as well. If you want like a bit of a spicy book, this would be a good recommendation. I don't know if I said I ended up giving this 4.25 stars. I feel like 4 stars like just wasn't enough, but then 4.5 is like too much, so I just went in the middle. I don't really like do quarter stars very often, but I did for this one. It just felt right. Now that I've finished that one, I decided that I'm going to go into a thriller book. So I have this thriller book on my TBR. It's called Tell Me What You Did by Carter Wilson. It's been like on my priority TBR because I saw one TikTok talking about it and I was like, ooh, like that sounds really good. So I bought it straight away. I believe this is about a popular true crime podcast. It says she gets people to confess to their crimes for a living. He knows she's hiding a terrible secret. It's time for the truth to come out. I feel like there's going to be a lot more to this story than just that. I've read a couple of like thriller books where it's like a podcast or something like that, and I really like that concept. So I have a feeling I'm really going to love this, and it will also prevent me going into a slump, because usually when I read a thriller book I can binge the whole thing, and that's exactly what I'm planning to do. Obviously I need to get the hours a lot more down, but of course I'll keep you guys updated with my thoughts a little bit later. I also just wanted to mention I also had Sounds Like Love by Ashley Poston sent to me today, which I believe this book is out, or maybe it's going to be out very soon. I do want to read this at some point in the video because it is a new release and I love reading new releases and, you know, you're reviewing them and everything like that. So yeah, this is also on the radar for this video. Usually when I film a readathon I read between like 5 to 6 books, so I should be able to get through a few, but we will see. Okay guys, sorry for the like slightly weird angle, but this is already really interesting. I'm only 10 pages in, but pretty much we're following Poe, and she is the like host of this true crime podcast, and the whole point of her podcast is that she gets people on every single episode and they like admit to a crime that they've done, but they do it like anonymously most of the time, so no one knows who they are, but they're like admitting to these really horrible things. We're like seeing the first episode that she's filming with this guy, but what's weird about it is that like in the prologue she is actually the one getting interviewed in her own podcast from someone else. So I'm excited to see how we get there, because we do go 2 weeks in advance after that. So very intriguing so far. I can tell I'm really gonna like this, and I'm gonna get through it very quickly. Hey guys, it's quite a lot later. I have like just over 100 pages left of the book, and I have 18 hours and 11 minutes left on the timer. I am absolutely loving this. It is so good. I don't know why specifically, but it's kind of reminded me of like the Good Girls Guide to Murder series, but like an older version of it. Like it feels like the characters are more mature than Pip was in that series, but it's like a similar dynamic where she's investigating a murder of someone close to her. Because I forgot to mention before, but the whole reason why Poe has this like whole podcast is because her mum was actually murdered when she was younger, and then one day she's interviewing this guy and he claims that he is her mother's murderer, but she's like confused because she actually killed her mother's murderer. And this is all on the back of the book, don't worry, I'm not spoiling anything, but she's like trying to investigate if this guy's lying, if she killed the wrong person, killed someone else. So we're kind of going through all of that, and then each chapter sort of like on and off is like an interview in her podcast, which is very similar to A Good Girl's Guide to Murder too, because there was quite a few interview format sort of things in that too. But I am flying through this. Like I'm getting through it very quickly. The chapters are so short, like every single chapter is less than 5 pages, which I love. Also something that's really cool, some chapters, like I think this is like the 3rd in the whole book, but they have like QR codes, and when you scan them it's like a clip of something that Poe is doing. Like it's like they've gotten like actors to like act out specific scenes, which I think is so cool. I've never seen that done in a book before, and I feel like that makes it even more intriguing. But yeah, I am going to sit here and finish this now. I'm definitely not going to be starting another book tonight because I'm so tired, so I'm just going to work on finishing this, and then I'll come back with an update in the morning on how many hours I have left and what I'm planning on reading next, because honestly I have no idea right now. We're just gonna have to go with the flow and see what I feel like. Okay, it is now day 2. I did end up finishing Tell Me What You Did yesterday. I'm not going to talk about it too much because I feel like I talked about a lot of my thoughts while I was reading, but I ended up giving this 3.5 stars, and that was purely because of the fact that I did guess the ending of this book at like the halfway mark. It was just really obvious. It wasn't really that plot twisty, but that being said, it was still a really good storyline. It wasn't one of those books that has you like gobsmacked at the end or anything like that. The main character in this book, Poe, she was just like kind of infuriating because she was one of those main characters that always goes towards the danger, and she just didn't really seem very smart. She was meant to be like 30 years old, but she was kind of acting like a teenager. Like, I don't know, she was very immature and she didn't really feel like a 30-year-old. I don't know how to explain it, but just the way that she was talking and acting and everything like that. I will also say it did start feeling quite long towards the end. I feel like it dragged on. This is like 400 pages, but it definitely could have been like 300 to 350. Overall, I did really enjoy this and I would recommend it. I feel like it would be good to get you out of a slump like most thrillers are. So yeah, I did settle on 3.5 stars for this one. When I finished that book, I ended up starting season 2 of The Secret Lives of Mormon Wives, and it's already so full of drama. Like, if you guys have watched it, let me know who your favorite person is, because I have loved Michaela and Macy from the beginning. I'm so excited for when Macy releases her book, but like the drama, like I've only watched 3 episodes so far. I think there's like 10. It is insane. Like, I feel like it is so much worse than season 1 in terms of like the way they're all acting. Like, they're just all mean girls at the end of the day, but it is so entertaining. So I did end up doing that for the rest of the night because I just could not, like, I was way too tired to sit there and focus on a book. But anyway, as I said yesterday, I actually have no idea what I feel like reading, so I thought that I would pick something from my priority TBR. So these are the books that I kind of want to prioritize. These are the books that are more like on my radar, I guess you can say. I am kind of feeling like reading like a quick little romance or something, so I was thinking maybe Swift and Saddled by Lila Sage. I've only read the first book in this series. It's the Rebel Ranch series, and I didn't really like it that much, but that was only because it was very spicy. I feel like there wasn't much of a plot, but apparently the books do get a lot better as you go, so this is definitely an option. Obviously, I also have Sounds Like Love by Ashley Poston, which I did briefly say yesterday. I do want to read this in this video, but I don't really know if I'm in the mood for this right now. The only other book that I'm kind of like looking at the most is The Rose Bargain, and I know that that's not a romance book. I think that's more of a like romantasy, like fairy tale-esque sort of vibes, but I don't really think I'm in the mood for that right now either, so I think I'm just gonna go with my gut and go with Swift and Saddled. It's really short. Like, I feel like it'll be really quick and easy for me to get through. Obviously, I'm gonna try to get through a couple of books today to get the hours down. This is literally under 300 pages, so I should be able to get through it very quickly. I have 17 hours and 31 minutes left on the timer, so I think I read for about 6.5 hours yesterday, which is pretty good. This is going to be the first book for today. Okay, I am up to chapter 10, which is page 72, so I thought I'd explain a bit of what's going on. We are following Wes and Ada in this book. Ada has just been divorced from her ex, and so she's going to, I think it's Meadowlark, the town is called, and she just like wants to escape, but she also has a job there at the Rebel Blue Ranch. She's like going to redesign their house because she's like sort of an interior designer, like she's not actually qualified as one, but like that's kind of her job. But the thing is, the night before she starts work, Wes is like her boss. She actually meets him in like a bar, but she doesn't know it's him, and they have like a tiny little makeout session at the back of the bar, and so when they see each other again, it's really awkward because obviously they'd already met each other, but they didn't know who each other were. We're kind of seeing that they have like a lot of tension already, but she also just told him that she just wants to do her job. Like, she doesn't want a relationship with him. They have to keep it professional, and so I just know the tension throughout this book is going to be insane. Like, it's just going to be the whole way through, and I'm very excited for it. I'm finding that it's very easy to read. read. I think I read Done and Dusted maybe 2 years ago. Like I think I read it when it first came out, which I don't know at the top of my head, but I completely forgot about how easy it was to read. Like not only is the writing like really, really big, but just like the language is really easy. Like I feel like I'm gonna fly through this. I've probably been reading for maybe 30 to 40 minutes and I'm already 70 pages in, which I am like a fast reader. I am like actively trying to read slower so I take in more information, but I think this is just one of those books that I'm going to be able to read quick anyway. But I'll probably update you guys at the midway mark. We'll see how I feel, like when I've got more thoughts about this book. Okay guys, I am pretty much about 50% of the way through this book now. I'm up to page 140. I believe there's like just 300 pages in this book, and honestly I'm really not enjoying this as much as I kind of thought I was at the beginning. Like I just feel like it's because with like for example the Chestnut Spring series, I felt really connected to the characters and loved the characters. I loved what they were doing like just in their spare time as well, like just them being together as a family. Like I really loved that. It was very much like a good found family trope in that series, but I feel like this series is trying to do that, but I just don't care for the characters and I'm just not connected to them for some reason. I'm like reading a book and I'm not really being given anything. Like I just feel like it's very surface level, if that makes sense. Like all the characters are very surface level. There's just not that much going on that's very interesting and I'm just finding it really boring and hard to get through. Honestly, I don't really want to pick it up. I've been kind of sitting here for hours and like I'm just like reading so slow because I just don't care about it. Part of me wants to DNF this, but at the same time, I've only got like 150 pages or so to go. So I feel like I should just stick it out and get to the end, because I have heard that books 3 and 4 are like the best in the series. Like apparently as she keeps writing, they do get a lot better. So I do definitely want to see those and still read those. But unfortunately this one for me just isn't really hitting, and Done and Dusted, as I said at the beginning, didn't really hit for me either. I am about to go to my mum's house for dinner and I'm probably going to be there for quite a few hours because I always spend hours there just chatting and stuff. So I don't know when I'm going to get home. I'll definitely finish this today at some point. I don't know how far I'm going to get into another book today. I did want to read like 2 whole books, but I just don't think that's going to happen. But I have 16 hours and 16 minutes left on the timer, so we'll see what I get it down to today. I'd love to read for maybe another 3-ish hours just to get it down a lot more, but we'll have to see when I get home later depending on the time and everything like that. But that's the update for now. Unfortunately, not really the update I wanted to make, but I will always be honest about books and this one just really isn't doing it for me. Okay, it is quite a lot later in the day. Obviously I said I was going to my mum's house. I think I got back around 9 p.m. I want to say. It was pretty late. I had to straighten my hair and everything, so by the time I started reading it was literally like 10:30, and so it is 12 a.m. right now, but I've finally finished Swift and Saddled by Lila Sage. To start off, I've got 14 hours and 43 minutes left on the timer, so in just less than 10 hours I've finished like 2.5 books, I want to say, which I feel like is really good so far. I feel like I spoke on this book too soon, because in the last update I was saying how I didn't really like this and I was finding it really boring, but it definitely picked up in the second half of this book. I actually found myself quite enjoying the second half and there was more depth to the characters. We got so much more of them. There was also like mental health representation, and I love a good book with mental health representation. I've said it so many times, and I especially love it when it's through like the main male character because it's not as normalized when it should be. I will say the main female character in this book was one of those female characters that's quite annoying. Like she just like avoids things instead of facing them straight on, and I feel like that caused a few problems in this book. But as we all know, like a romance book always has to have like some sort of conflict or problem. I said that for the first book in this video as well. But yeah, I ended up giving this 3.5 stars, which I think is quite a good rating. I think I originally gave Done and Dusted 3 stars, but as I also said in the last update, apparently books 3 and 4 do get a lot better and I'm very excited for them. I have decided that the next book I'm going to be starting is The Rose Bargain by Sacha Payton Smith. I did briefly mention this morning and talk about how it was sort of like on my radar. Like I was like looking at it and being like, okay, like I kind of feel like reading that, but like not right now. So I am going to start this probably tomorrow because as I said, it's 12 o'clock already and I'm kind of tired. I'm probably going to continue watching The Secret Lives of Mormon Wives. I'll be back tomorrow when I've started this because we are going into the city tomorrow to go book shopping, so it's going to be like a long day. I probably will not start reading until quite late in the day, but you guys already know I'm going to give you updates all the way through anyway. I feel like I always over explain myself for literally no reason. Okay guys, guys, it has actually been maybe like 3 or 4 days since I've given an update in this video and actually read at all. I've kind of been in like a massive life/reading slump lately. I don't really know what to call it, but I just haven't really been in the best place mentally. I've got a lot going on in my personal life, which I will talk about at some point, but it's something that like I'm not even 100% sure about. I've spoken on my like diagnosis of endometriosis like a few months ago, but I am like on the wait list for surgery right now. I should be getting it sooner than I originally thought. So there's just like a lot going on in my brain and it's like taking a toll on me. Anyway, back to what we're actually here to talk about. I did start reading The Rose Bargain. I'm only up to page 37, which is chapter 4. I'm really not far into this at all, but I thought I'd give a little synopsis on what's kind of happening and the idea of this book. So I'm going to try to explain this book the best I can. So pretty much in this world, I believe it's like more dystopian, but I think there's like fae people. I really have not gotten around to that yet, but I think it's like more on the dystopian side. It's kind of like the Selection series, like Bridgerton sort of vibes. So as I said, there's like all these high society girls, and in this world there is like a queen. Her name is Queen Morian. I'm not entirely sure how to say her name, but she's actually immortal and she has 2 sons. Now, I think these 2 sons are going to be like in a love triangle with our main girl in the book, but I'm not sure yet. So in this world, all of these high society young girls, they actually go and ask Queen Morian for like these specific qualities. Like say it'll be like, I really want to have a better smile, like better teeth, and Queen Morian will make like a deal with them and they have to give her something in exchange for it. And at this time in the book, she's actually putting up one of her sons for like his own like season, if that makes sense. So all the girls are going to try to win his hand, and that is Prince Bram, who it says he is fae. I literally haven't even met him yet, but yeah, that's kind of what's going on so far. I'm very excited to get more into this story because I feel like right now I'm confused. Like I don't really know what's going on and I can't really explain to you guys what's going on, but I kind of wanted to give an update because as I said, it has been a few days since I've kind of talked to the camera and I just took a little break, but we're back now. Hopefully I can binge this whole book today. Like hopefully I get more into it. That's my thoughts for now. Okay guys, it's a little bit later and I realized I completely forgot to show you guys how much time I had on the timer before I started reading today, but I believe it was around the 14-hour and 20-minute mark. So now I'm down to 11 hours and 51 minutes. So I've read for a couple of hours already. I am almost 60% of the way through the book now, so I thought I'd do like a halfway check-in. I'm up to page 219, and even though I'm really enjoying this, I can definitely feel myself going into like a reading slump, which is not fun. So I think after this I need to read some sort of like thriller or something so I can hopefully get out of that before I get too deep into another reading slump, because we don't want that. But this is really, really good. I feel like I'm starting to understand the point of this book and I'm understanding more of the characters and what's actually happening. Obviously at the beginning I kind of had no idea how to explain the synopsis of this, and that was because I'd only read 30 pages or so, but I feel like I do have a better understanding now. As we know, it is a bunch of girls trying to pretty much win the prince's heart, Prince Braum, and his mother is an immortal queen who runs this whole realm that they live in, and he is also fae. Now the fae and like the fantasy sort of elements in this book, really not there. We don't see much of that at all. It's just like little sprinkles of magic, I guess. So it's a very like fairy tale-esque sort of vibe, but I wouldn't even really consider this a fantasy. As I said, it's more of a dystopian book. At least right now there isn't many fantasy elements. This is also like very surface level. Obviously this is a YA book, so it's not going to be anything too crazy, but I feel like it's just one of those books that's very easy to read because there's not much depth to it. But I'm like honestly enjoying that. Like I'm kind of in the mood for a book like that where I don't have to use all of my attention and focus and everything like that. It's just very easy to breeze through. I actually did get it on my Kindle because it's just easier to read and I'm in like a reading on my Kindle mood. I did highlight something that sort of explains more of this book. So it was 24 girls that had signed up to try to win the prince's heart, and pretty much the reason why it wasn't as many as the beginning is because every single girl that loses, which obviously is going to be 23 out of 24 of them, they actually are not allowed to wed anyone else in their whole entire lives. So their whole lives are pretty much ruined, and that is obviously the queen's bargain because she makes all of these horrible bargains with people. And this is a quote from the queen. She said, "As a mother, it is my dearest wish that my son end up with his perfect match, and I'm sure we can all agree that 24 girls is simply too many to become properly acquainted with over 12 weeks. Therefore, we will be whittling down our accomplished group of 24 to 6. The final final 6 left standing will be invited to move on to palace grounds and compete for Prince Brahm's hand. The rest will return home. Your season ended. So this was like 50 pages into the book, and this was kind of like the first challenge that they were put into, which I won't talk about, but that is when they got the number down from 24 to 6 girls, and then we're just following the 6 girls throughout the rest of the book. As I sort of said at the beginning, like this is very much reminding me of the Selection series a lot. Like I feel like even though that's a whole series, I feel like it is that whole series put into one book, because I believe this is a standalone. But yeah, that's all my thoughts for now. I am really enjoying this. I do definitely think I'll finish it today and be able to start something else. But honestly, I probably will not update you guys again until tomorrow, but we will see. Okay, good morning guys. I have not given you guys an update in like 2 days because I did not end up reading anything yesterday, but I did start reading a new book the other day, which I'll talk about. I wanted to first talk about my final thoughts on The Rose Bargain. I feel like I didn't enjoy this book overall as much as I was kind of expecting to. I don't know, I thought it was going to be like maybe close to a 5-star read, but it wasn't, unfortunately, but I still had a very fun time reading this. The ending of this book was definitely very rushed. I kind of felt very dissatisfied with the ending just because I feel like a lot happened in a short frame of time, and I feel like it definitely could have gone on for longer and it would have made a lot more sense, because everything was kind of just, I don't know, it feels like there was a lot of problems put into the end of the book to make it like more entertaining, but personally I would have preferred to see some of those problems throughout the rest of the book rather than all like thrown in at the end. This was like a weird book because usually I can get my sort of like sense of what I'm going to rate a book at like the halfway mark, but I really could not guess it with this one. I ended up going with 3.25 stars. I think that was like the perfect rating for this. I really didn't get like the fae thing, like the fact a couple of these characters were fae. As I said, it really was not spoken about whatsoever. There was like no fantasy elements, so I was a little bit confused on that. It kind of just felt like one of those things where they throw it in so they can advertise the book slightly differently as like a fantasy, but this is definitely not really a fantasy. It's more of a dystopian book, which is what I said the whole way through reading this. I've just been repeating myself, but yeah, I did end up giving this one at 3.25 stars, and then I did start reading a thriller because I was like, well, I kind of feel like I'm going into a slump, like I need something quick and easy. So I started reading Misery by Stephen King. I've only read one Stephen King book, which was Billy Summers. I read it a couple of years ago when it was kind of like going viral, like a lot of people were reading it around that time, and it wasn't really like my sort of book, so I didn't really enjoy it that much, but I do enjoy his writing. I think his writing is incredible, obviously. This is following a famous author in this book who has this specific book series following a woman called Misery, and at the start of this book we find out that he has recently killed this character in the most recent release of this series that he's written, and he also ended up in this really bad car crash. So he wakes up in this woman's house and it is actually his #1 fan, and she's kind of like keeping him captive there, but like pretending like she's not in a way, and she's also really not happy about the way the book ended. I'm really not far into it at all. I'm only 65 pages in, but I'm really enjoying it so far. I think his writing is so addictive and so easy to get into. It really like just got straight into the story straight away, which I love. The only thing that I don't really like, and I got this book on my Kindle for this reason, is instead of having like full chapter pages, his chapters like randomly start in the middle of a page, and I find that really confusing and also, I don't know, not as motivating to read because it feels like I'm reading like extremely slow. So I did get it on my Kindle so it's easier to read. I am really enjoying this so far. I've got no idea where it's gonna go. Like I really have no idea kind of what this #1 fan is expecting from him, but I'm intrigued, and I'm definitely going to try to finish this today because I have 8 hours and 51 minutes left on the timer. So I would love to finish this by tomorrow because I just feel like this has been going on a little too long now. It's been like a week, but we will see. It really depends how much time I have because I have had a very busy week this week, and my sister's also staying over tonight. We're getting tattoos together tomorrow. Like it's just, I don't know. I will try to fit in the time, but we will have to see. Worst case, I'll finish it on Saturday, but we'll see. Okay, this 24-hour readathon is really not going how I thought it was gonna go. I thought this was gonna like prevent me going into a reading slump, but I feel like it's causing one. Misery by Stephen King is definitely not helping to pull me out of this like funk that I feel like I'm in at the moment, and I've decided 40% of the way through that I'm going to DNF this book. It pains me to say this because I do really want to love Stephen King and his writing and everything, but I just find it so difficult to understand and get into. Like we were thrown straight into the plot of this straight away, which is what I said in the last update. However, there is so many different elements to his stories that you have to remember. Like it's like there's like 6 plot lines going on at the same time. Like it is really complicated, and I just don't have the brain capacity for that right now. In fact, I never really have the brain capacity for that. Like when I read a book, I kind of want to be the most relaxed I can possibly be, and this is just not one of those books that's doing it for me, unfortunately. I feel like I've wasted a few hours trying to get through this and I just can't. So I've just decided I'm not going to finish this. There's just way too much going on at the same time. So I'm actually going to unhaul this. I'm actually going to do a video very soon of like a bunch of books I'm unhauling. I think I have like 2 whole bags full of books that I've been meaning to donate for such a long time, and I just haven't gotten around to doing that. So I was like, I might as well make a video out of it and talk about why I'm unhauling specific books, and this will definitely be unhauled because normally when I DNF a book, there's no reason for me to keep it. That being said, because that one's a DNF, I am going to go into Sounds Like Love by Ashley Poston because I feel like this could actually be a book to help me get out of a slump. I'm going to quickly read the back of the book and then we're just going to get straight into it. It says, Joanie Lark wants to create the melodies that get stuck in your head and your heart. Her hometown has always given her surf, sand and inspiration, but when her parents decide to close a family music venue, Joanie's life begins to fall off key. She couldn't possibly write another song until a melody comes to her half-formed and with an imagined voice she can't forget. But when the very real, very aggravating man behind the voice shows up in a Vienna shores, Joanie can no longer deny their inexplicable telepathic connection. I cannot speak today. To get out of each other's heads, they'll have to finish the song haunting them both, but there's just one problem. They can't agree on anything, and if they don't change their tune, it might just end in heartbreak first. One thing with Ashley Poston's writing is that it's always a romance, but there's always sort of like an underlying magical element that's like not something that would happen in the real world, so I'm very intrigued on what's going to happen in this. Nervous, but like, please, surely an Ashley Poston book can pull me out of this slump that I'm going into. Okay, wow, I literally look bald with my hair like pulled back, but anyway, I wanted to give you guys an update on Sounds Like Love because I did start this yesterday. I am enjoying this. I'm not enjoying it as much as I kind of thought. I feel like with a few of Ashley Poston's more recent releases, I haven't enjoyed them as much as like The 7-Year Slip or The Dead Romantics or anything. I don't know why, they just don't hit the same. This book is following our main character Joanie, and her family actually owns this like what used to be a very popular music venue, but now they're kind of like struggling to keep business up and they're actually going to close. And Joanie is actually a songwriter herself, so she's had a couple of like hits that she's written. The issue in this book is that she randomly gets this like voice in her head one day, and it's also like part of a song. She just keeps hearing this song and it's like someone talking to her. Her and this man that owns the voice that's playing in her head all day decide to actually meet up to try to figure out like why this is happening and how they can fix it. And they have to finish this song that they're both hearing like partial parts of in their heads, if that makes sense. This is like really confusing to explain. This is all on the back of the book, but even the back of the book, like the way it's worded, doesn't really help to explain anything, so I'm doing my best here. I feel like the reason why I'm not enjoying this as much as I expected is because I'm not really enjoying the characters that much. Like I just don't really care for them. I don't know if it's the fact that I don't really feel connected to them at all, but I just feel like they're not bad characters by any means. I just really don't care about what they're going through in a way. Like I know that sounds really harsh. I just don't really care for their stories. I don't know how to explain it. But yeah, that's all my thoughts so far. I am up to page 165, so I think I'm getting to like the halfway mark. I have 5 hours and 44 minutes left on the timer, so slowly getting there. It is Saturday today. This is just taking a lot longer than I expected, as I said. Hopefully we can get it done this weekend. I do have a very busy weekend, so I'm not going to get my hopes up, but we'll have to just see what happens, I guess. Okay guys, today I literally woke up and decided that today is the day that I am dedicating all of my time to finishing this 24-hour readathon because it is just getting ridiculous at this point. Obviously, filming this reading vlog has kind of put me into a reading slump, but first of all, obviously I wanted to finish Sounds Like Love, so that's what I focused on doing the last couple of hours. I think I've been reading for maybe like an hour and a half to 2 hours to finish this, and I finally finished it, even though honestly this was kind of disappointing, and midway through this book I did kind of want to DNF it, and I did push through because I was like, this is an arc. I feel bad DNFing another arc because I've had so many like new releases this year that honestly have been quite disappointing, and this unfortunately has ended up in that group with some other books as well. Don't get me wrong, there was a few things that I did like about this book as well. I really liked the summery vibes in this book, and obviously in Australia we are at the opposite side of the world as probably the majority of the people that view my YouTube channel, so we are going into winter and reading a summery book doesn't really fit that vibe very well. I could have definitely definitely imagine myself reading this on the beach or something. So maybe if you are watching from the other side of the world and you are going into summer, this would be a great book to read on the beach. I honestly just found so many elements of this book very mundane, to be honest. There was like not much going on for a lot of it. As I said in the last update, I didn't really care for the characters as much as I sort of wanted to, so I couldn't really connect to it. So I did end up giving this 3 stars. Like, I know so many people are going to love this and connect to it. Unfortunately, it just wasn't one of those books for me. But now that I've finished that, I've only got a couple more hours left on the timer, to be honest. I've got 3 hours and 29 minutes, so that is perfect. I can definitely finish the rest of that today. I have decided that because I am like heavily going into a reading slump, I'm going to just read a thriller on my Kindle. I'm gonna read something that's hopefully very quick and easy. I haven't actually decided yet. I'm just gonna scroll through like Kindle Unlimited until I find something, because as I'm filming this as well, the new book in the Boys of Tolman series is coming out in a couple of days, and so I don't want to start something that's like very long either, because obviously I want to read that. So yeah, I'm just gonna go through. You guys will see a clip of what I end up deciding to read anyway, and I'll give you guys my thoughts. We're finally on the road to the end of this 24-hour readathon. It really just has not gone as well as I was kind of expecting it to be honest. Okay, I've been reading this new thriller book for about an hour so far. I've got 2 hours and 33 minutes left, and I am reading quite slow at the moment. I feel like I'm very, very distracted. I am enjoying this so far. I'm going to try to explain what's happening, but at the same time, not much has happened so far. So it is following a husband and wife who also have a very young daughter. She's literally like a toddler. And the husband in this relationship has had this girl best friend like his whole life, and he's always told his wife not to worry about her. And they haven't seen her in a few years, but for some reason she's coming to visit them, and she's actually staying with them at the current time in this book. Her name is Sophie, and Sophie is like trying to like become really, really close with the wife. Like, we can see that, and the wife is kind of like, I don't know whether to trust her or not. I can't remember the wife's name right now, by the way. That's why I'm not saying it. She's like kind of like iffy about whether or not to trust her, and she's like kind of starting to like her, but then Sophie does these like really sneaky things with her husband. So she's kind of like keeping watch of them at the same time. Literally no idea where this is going to go. It feels like one of those books that's going to be quite predictable, but I could say that it sounds predictable and then it could completely shock me. Like, I can't really say that because, as I said, it could shock me. Like, I've got no idea where this is going to go, but I am really enjoying it so far. I'm 17% in so far. I'm definitely going to try to finish it today. I'm definitely not going to be able to finish it within the timer, but by the time I outro this video, I should have like my final thoughts on this, just so you guys can see my review, even though it's going to be after the timer ends, if that makes sense. Okay, it is quite a lot later. I literally have 15 minutes and 45 seconds left on the timer. I am 60% of the way through. This book is actually longer than I thought. It's like 400 pages. I will say, even though I thought a thriller was gonna like get me out of my slump, I thought it was gonna be incredible and really, really easy to read. I'm actually really not itching to pick this book up because I'm finding it very, very choppy, and it's almost like, I don't know, it's a bit all over the place. Like, every single chapter, or even like in the middle of some chapters, it's like the characters are like in completely different places, and I'm like, how did you get there? Like, I'm just so confused. There is like flashbacks that are happening, but it's not like established. I don't really know how to explain it. It's just really confusing in the way that it's set out and written, but I am enjoying the plot and the storyline. So it's just hard to read. It's taking a lot of focus because it's hard to understand what's going on. I'm definitely not going to finish it today. As I said, I'm definitely going to finish it before tomorrow when I outro this video so I can give my final thoughts. But I'm so excited that I've only got 15 minutes left of reading today and that I've finally finished this 24-hour readathon. Okay, it is now the next morning. The readathon is officially over, and I just finished reading the thriller book this morning so I could get it done and tell you guys my overall thoughts. As I said in last night's update, I think I got about 60% of the way through within that timer, but then I've just finished it afterwards so I can tell you guys and you're not left like wondering my final thoughts on a book. So I did already speak on the fact that that book was very, very choppy and it kind of felt a little bit all over the place, and I still stand by that. It was honestly a thriller that was very, very hard to get through. I've never read anything from this author before. I don't know if they're very popular. Like, there wasn't as many reviews on Goodreads as like a more popular author, so I don't know. But I was looking at the reviews on Goodreads as well, and I feel like a lot of people, like the general consensus, it was the same sort of feeling that I had. Like, the ending was not as like crazy and plot twisty as it was kind of made out that it was gonna be. It was just a little bit disappointing. Like, it just felt like I kind of read it for nothing. There was, I don't know, it was just very anticlimactic at the end, and so I ended up giving it 2 2.5 stars actually, which I never really rate anything under 3 stars because usually I DNF books, but I did want to get through this one and finish it just to see what I'd think at the end. I feel like with the thriller specifically, you still want to see the ending, but yeah, it was very anticlimactic. I didn't enjoy it as much as I was expecting to, but that was officially the last book for this video. So as usual, I'll put like a wrap up on the screen of all the books I read in this video. I read 6 total and then had the one DNF, which was the Stephen King book, obviously. So I feel like I did really well in this actually. I feel like I got through quite a few books. Will I be filming another 24-hour readathon anytime soon? No, probably not, but I'm very glad it's over now and I feel very accomplished within myself. I've been forgetting to say this, but if you got to the end of the video, make sure you comment the butterfly emoji. But yeah, with all that being said, thank you again so much for watching and I will hopefully see you all in my next one.